Hello, hello.
It's been a minute. Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast that calls out the winning and wily ways of today's marketing. I'm your host, Rachel Moore. As always, I'm in cahoots with my I love using the word cahoots. I think we should all infuse it into our vernacular. With my two fellow marketers and co-hosts, Elizabeth Allen. Say hi.
Hello, hello. I've missed you all.
We've missed you. And Tanya Ballard-Brown.
Hello. I like the way that you like cahoots.
So thank you. Welcome back. We're calling this season 2, episode 1 of Just Trust Me. By the way, I'm going to throw this in there. Do you know that most podcasts only put out 3 episodes and then they stop? So we're already winning because we've had 8 episodes out.
Totally intentional, okay?
Yeah, totally. It was all, we had things to do.
It was planned this way.
It's totally planned. Well, today we're going to talk about a few marketing-y things. We're going to talk about Mother's Day and Father's Day and the brands who read the room regarding their promotions of such. We're going to ask the question, which Tanya, I like that you've been asking this in our Slack recently. Good marketing? Question mark? So we're going to ask that question about the folks rapping on the main stage of Canva Create. Leave that alone for a second. And then we're going to go to We Got, how at least one of us fell for good old wily marketing. We are all savvy marketers, but you know what? We can get got. We can, and that happens. But first, real quick, ladies, in our break, anyone do anything interesting you want to call out from when we were kind of in our mid-season break?
I did not see Jesus's tooth.
Expand?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I went to Vienna, Austria to meet my friend Esther there. And one of the things that she wanted to do, no, let me go back. No, she had been there before. And she said the last time she was there that she saw Jesus's tooth in this museum. And I was like, you did not see Jesus's tooth.
Why was it in
That's
Austria?
like weird. And I said, no, there is no Jesus's tooth. So we went to this museum and we walked around this whole museum to see Jesus's tooth. It was not Jesus's tooth, okay? Was John the Baptist's tooth. I think it was just a tooth
That they said belonged to John the Baptist.
A tooth. However, John the Baptist is Jesus adjacent.
Love that she gave it like a promotion in her brain. Not just John the Baptist, it was Jesus. It sounds like something that would happen in my brain.
Like when we got there, she was like, oh, I remembered it wrong. And I was like, I know you did because there is no Jesus too.
You feel like that's the height of like promotion where you're like, Jesus, of all people, Jesus. You're like, oh yeah, it must have been it was Jesus.
It was insistent.
And literally, and that's the part that cracks me up is like, nobody talks about this on a regular basis. I feel like this would be a big point of conversation.
Jesus too in this museum. How will we get in this museum? She stood on business, okay? And then when she was like, John the Baptist, she was like, oh, I remembered it wrong.
Oh my God. Listen, in reality, it was the tooth I had pulled in like 2003.
Right.
I sold it up to a museum. You're welcome.
And I swear, you said tooth, and I'm like, did I mishear her? Did she mean Jesus' tomb? Cool. So, you didn't go see Jesus tooth, so that's something.
But you did go to Vienna, so
yeah,
that's the exciting part.
That's lovely.
I did.
Elizabeth, how about you? What was up with you?
I am still hustling and grinding on the unemployment front, so that's pretty much what I've been doing. I am very much looking forward to in a couple of weeks. My family is we're going to Ireland for one of my best friend's weddings. She actually lives and grew up and was raised in Ireland. She came over here for 2 years when we were in 2nd grade. We became buddies. And so when I tell people I'm going to my best friend's wedding in Ireland, they just assume it's somebody from the US who's getting married in Ireland. No, like she lives in Ireland and we just happen to stay really close. She was a bridesmaid in my wedding. So we'll be heading over to Ireland. She gets to meet my daughter for the first time, which she's very excited about. And then we're going to do a little like mini Beatles pilgrimage. I am a huge Beatles fan. So we're going to hit up Liverpool. We're going to hit up London. Of course, you have to be the assholes walking across Abbey Road.
Of course.
You have to do it. You just have to.
Mm-hmm.
So Well, a lot hasn't happened in my life, and hopefully soon I am starting a new job, but at least I have something to look forward to. And honestly, I will say I was really freaked out when I first got laid off because I had 3 trips planned
Right.
for this year. And I was like, and I mean, you two heard me like freak out about it on our Slack constantly because I was like, what am I going to do if I'm hired? And I have to be like, I have a week off in
Right.
May, in June. It's not going to look good. So honestly, part of being laid off and not having gotten something yet, it worked out well because I'm like, okay, phew, that's done. Now I can start whenever you want me to start.
And I love that you're going. I mean, obviously, you've got these things, these commitments you're going to, but I mean, just go. Just
Exactly.
enjoy yourself, live your life.
Exactly. So I am looking forward to that. That'll be very fun.
Nice.
And yeah, so I'm going to geek out about the Beatles and make a real nuisance of myself. It'll be fun.
I love it, as you should. You should leave your mark. Leave your mark over there. They will speak of you in hushed and reverent tones. Yeah. And then my big stuff, my oldest, my son graduated high school. And I felt like I planned a wedding with that weekend of festivities. I know. And y'all, I'll just say this too, as a mom who has encountered some, shall we say, special teachers of his along the way. I really just want to send his graduation picture with me flipping the bird at a couple of his teachers. Be like, well, made it in spite of you.
I'm in denial.
I know. How are these kids this old? I don't understand.
They were wee babies.
They were wee babies, and I don't understand it. I don't like that it makes me feel old. And so, like, really, your son hurt me when he graduated, and I feel like he should apologize for that.
Felt it more deeply than any of you, okay? So it was all about me.
It's weird, y'all. It is. I mean, it's been very nostalgic around these parts because I'm just like, man, because I remember vividly, and I'm sure parents can agree. And, anyone who really just has any hopes for anything where you're just like, you have those doubts like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And also just the fact that we got him through high school without going through a shooting. So that's nice. So I'm just really relieved. One more's left to go. But so yeah, that was what I was busy with. But let us dig into segueing beautifully into, let's talk about Mother's Day and Father's Day. So we all work in some capacity in marketing. And usually, there's always those dates on the calendar that, you capitalize upon. And certainly we're talking like commercial businesses absolutely do this, right? Where there's a sale, they're marketing, there's promotions, discounts, all this stuff. But even if they're not discounting stuff, they're fully capitalizing on a very sales-driven, money-driven holidays. And some of these are fine, it's like, oh, they're just kind of run of the mill. But others can tend to tread a little bit into the, are we hurting people with this? So Mother's Day and Father's Day. And I'm going to open it up with saying, I will admit I used to be very ignorant about how Mother's Day and Father's Day promotions can come across to people. I'll pause there though, because didn't one of y'all get like a message recently from a brand that was basically saying, hey, you can opt out?
I get them from Postable all the time. I did it for Mother's Day and then they did it for Father's Day. But I've seen them other places too. I think I actually maybe shared from another place. I don't remember. But I used to be bothered by the Mother's Day one, not because I'm not a mom, but because my mom was gone. And it was like, you would just be bombarded with all of these things. Like, do you want to get a card for your mom or flowers for your mom and this for your mom and all that? Yeah, I would love to do any and all of that. My mother is dead. And I don't like to be reminded of that. I'm some years out now, so I'm less sensitive about it. And I realize it's not necessarily all about me and my feelings, because there are other people who, raising children and loving kids and being bonus moms and grandmoms and auntie moms and all those kinds of moms or whatever and that kind of thing. But the first couple of years after my mom passed away, it was really like, can I stop getting all of these things from places? Because I say, cards and flowers, but it also would be like, hey, we're having a shoe sale.
Yeah.
Or, hey, come buy some groceries. Some would say, well, just unsubscribe or whatever. But on a normal day, I might actually want that shoe ad sale.
Yeah.
Or I might want to know that I can get some cheaper groceries. I just don't necessarily want to be bombarded with a lot of messaging around mom thing. And that's how I felt in that moment. But I think it's kind of savvy. They gave you the choice. You can opt out for that particular marketing push. And I liked how they said, we're not going to stop sending you things. We're just going to stop sending you things around Mother's Day or Father's Day. So you're just opting out of this content and not the rest of our sales. And I was like, see, Postable. I mean, I do spend a lot of money on there just because I'm lazy and it's just way easier to kind of automate stuff on there. And I do like to send cards and stuff, but it's worked for me. This might be I got too for me.
No, I mean, I agree with that. And I think that's part of the issue we have overall in marketing is trying to, and we've talked about it on this podcast before, like crowbarring every freaking holiday into a marketing campaign, whether or not it makes sense, right? We see it all the time and it's interesting. And there are situations where it makes sense. It's like you said, like flowers, cards, whatever. And it is really nice to have the option to opt out. My father passed away unexpectedly like 3 years ago. So yeah, I don't necessarily want to be reminded of that. I do also have a husband who is a father, like, so that's part of it too. But it is hard to have it thrown in your face all of the time if you're grieving. Or another situation is if you just don't have a great relationship with your parents. A lot of people are like no contact with their parents. That's really tough too. And so I love the companies that are giving an opt-out option.
Yeah.
But also I do think a lot of companies need to really think about whether or not they need to be pushing these particular holidays so hard. Like you can do a general like Happy Mother's Day to those who celebrate, you know, something like that, like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. It's when they're trying to push it for a sale that it feels a little disingenuous. And it does feel kind of like sometimes a slap in the face of the people who are like, I literally lost my mother 3 days ago.
Right.
And this is really hard. And I wasn't expecting to hear this from like, you know, I don't know, audible.com, you know, like I was expecting to be like, send candy or something like that. So I honestly think it's a great thing. And I also started noticing it a few years ago, the chance to opt out of those messages. And I thought it was really interesting and very smart. And I think it shows a kind of emotional intelligence with the brand that not all brands are capable of. And I know personally, if I see that, I'm like, wow, somebody seems to be in the background really thinking about these things. And I appreciate that.
Exactly.
And for Postable, it's a good fit because it's about like sending cards to remind people that you love them and you're thinking of them and that kind of thing. And I wanted to just circle back and say, and one group that sometimes I think gets forgotten are people who wanted kids and can't have.
Yes. Amen.
They can be super upsetting, even as, you know, I mean, as someone who wanted kids and doesn't have them, I can get that it's not all about me and what's happening in my life or whatever, but you can't opt out of everything. And so you try to manage your feelings and emotions, and sometimes just being bombarded with these messages can be hurtful and painful, even if you're prepared for the bombardment, right?
Yeah.
And so that to me gives even more of a sort of check mark to companies who have said, hey, let's offer this option to people so that they can check out. Not all the time, but they can check out on this particular content if that's what they would like to do.
And that's exactly it. Like, there's got to be some sort of safe space for people who are dealing with those feelings, whether it be a parent who has passed, whether it be a childless person who wanted that for their future.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough when you're getting that on, you know, podcast ads, if you're getting it on television ads, you're getting it constantly on ads, just like on the internet in general. And then you go into your email and you're getting that as well. It's just like, where can I escape to at this point, or I do not have to hear about this? And I appreciate what you're saying, Tanya. Like, I'm responsible for my own emotions, but like, we also don't know like how soon somebody has dealt with that particular trauma. And it may be literally 3 days ago that say horribly, like you had a miscarriage.
Or stillbirth of the child, or you just found out that the 10-day wait was not successful.
There has to be some sort of safe space for you. And especially because now not only is it email, but it's the SMS text.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm getting them literally just like shoved into my face at all time. And we never know. And even if somebody is years in the grieving process, they still might not be at that place.
Right.
And whether the grieving process is, again, a parent who has passed or, an infertility issue. I love the idea that companies are thinking about that, and it makes me think more highly of them. And the team that they have behind them.
Well, and the tech is there, obviously, and it's been there. It really, it boils down to them taking the time to go into their marketing tech stack and their ops and say, let's create lists. Let's create tags for the different kinds of emails, promotions you have. Obviously, you're going to create them. Obviously, you're going to send them out. But then all you're doing is you're giving the choice over to the customer to say, you can choose if you want to see this or not. You can come back and start these up again if you want. It's just a simple thing. And like you said, if you're nuanced about it and say, we're just giving you a choice. And I'd love to see data on how many people are opting to do that. This reminds me of I keep seeing posts about it. Chewy, that company that does food for animals. Stuff. And, it's always the ultimate thing where you lose your pet because they age or get old and whatever. And they go that extra. It's not like they just stop. Oh, well, we don't need to feed your pet anymore. But they send you a thing like, here's for the pet, your family member that you no longer have. And it's like they're with you in that grieving. And I just see them get called out so much in a positive way where it's like, you cared about my pet, not just that I'm paying you money to get food from you, but they just do that extra. And that feels what these companies are doing. They're doing that little bit of extra that can be super meaningful for wherever that person is on the other side of that marketing piece.
I mean, it's certainly savvy. I don't know that they care about my pet, but
how could anybody not care about Butterbean?
They care. Everybody cares about.
Everybody cares about Butterbean.
Of course,
she's a diva.
But they certainly care about my business, about retaining my business, and that's a good way because if God forbid my baby died, God forbid something happens to her, but you do this, and then I remember that, right? And so the next time I see a friend, I mention it to a friend who they have a pet, and I might be like, oh, Chewy did blah, 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 blah. That might make them go, oh, really? And start spending money with Chewy, right?
Yeah.
If I get another pet, I might go to Chewy because they treated me so well. It's those little kinds of things, goodwill. It's the goodwill that they're building.
Exactly.
And it's true for local independent businesses too. I think a lot of times we're talking about really big brands, but that's true for local independent businesses too, because my cat Penny Lane had passed away a handful of years ago, and our vet sent us a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
Aww.
And I think we used them twice. I think we got her fixed, and then she passed away. It wasn't we didn't have a really strong relationship where we were constantly, I mean, she was a cat. So cats are a little different. They have a little less maintenance issues to go to the vet than dogs. But they still sent this beautiful bouquet the day after she passed away. And I will always remember that. And so when people on my local Facebook board are like, I need a new vet. And I was like, absolutely this place. I think that my cat wasn't just oh, another dead cat, whatever, it's fine. I mean, I'm not stupid. I know that they weren't sitting there being like, oh, Penny Lane, but they appreciated that there's a lot of emotions attached to us.
Yeah.
And if we want to continue their business, because I had another cat and I will likely always have a cat at some point.
Right.
I'm going to use their services. It's really smart. And I don't want to think it's cynical or something. I do believe that there are good intentions with that, because the cards you receive from Chewy are handwritten.
Yeah.
Somebody's writing those cards when your pet passes away.
I was fit to be tired of here. I was like, oh my God, my dog is gone.
Well, I mean, that's raw emotion. But I mean, Elizabeth, that's what you're saying too. Is and this all comes back to these companies are demonstrating, even if it's a business decision, like you said, not to be cynical, but somebody at that company said, you know what? You know how marketing is all about the feels and vibes, and let's make sure we're paying attention to that. That matters to the customer. Let's make it matter to us. And so they are making these choices to say, let's let them choose their adventure with our company. And if we can be trusted with their feelings, we can be trusted with their monies. And then we're going to give them their business. And so money, ROI. And it's smart decisions. It's smart marketing. Smart.
And in my head, like the higher ups obviously are making these decisions based on financial reasons.
Right.
I totally get that. But I do think there are people lower down in the company. Like I do think that somebody's writing that card and there's something in their head that's like, oh, that's sad. Because most people in their lives have had a pet, and most people in their lives have had a pet that who's passed away. So I like to believe that there is some sort of love coming from that, and maybe that makes me silly and simple and stupid. But I like to believe that there's somebody in that process who's like, oh, you know, so-and-so lost Snickers and Snickers has passed away and that person's sad and I want to make their day a little brighter. I think that's nice. Again, like I said, I don't think the CEO is thinking about that. The CEO is like money, which I mean, I can't blame him. That's what his job is, you know?
Basically, like, I'll pay somebody to do that if you're telling me that that will help us retain our customers.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
smart.
Hire one of us saps to write those cards.
That's right.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
I will write those cards. And I mean, I'll write those cards for money.
We'll do anything for money, Tanya. We know who you are.
I would do that. I mean, it would be sad, but also like kind of feeling goodish.
There's something fulfilling about that, like emotionally fulfilling about like, that's what I do for a living is I try to make people who have lost their pet feel a little better about it. Like, that's a great job. We know those people aren't making a lot of money, but I would hope they are. We know they're not, but I'd be like, $200,000 a year. That's what you deserve.
That's right. Exactly. All right. Well, we're wrapping up on that particular topic. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Been thinking about using an AI-generated headshot on your LinkedIn profile? Remember the lessons of the Willy Wonka experience and why bait and switch isn't the best way to get new connections to trust you. If your LinkedIn profile could use a good dust-off in the right ways, I've got you. Connect with Rachel Moore on www.butwaitthere'smore.com/contact to get started with your LinkedIn profile review. But wait, there's more, MOORE.com.
And we're back. So now we're going to talk about, and Tanya, again, as I mentioned, you have raised this, and I like this, so of course we're infusing it into the podcast. Good marketing, ? Is this good marketing? And I love that you've been coming through, and sometimes you are on a roll. Like you are like, bam, bam, bam. And I'm like,
if I'm on Insta, I'm getting, I think my algorithm has changed. I'm getting hit with a lot of marketing.
It's because they're listening.
Things, right?
They're all hearing us.
So I think that's part of it too.
Well, the one you brought up, and this is still being spoken of around the internet because it went viral. So Canva Create just happened. So Canva Create is their big, let's talk about all the things that are coming out, all the new releases. And of course, I think every marketer, if you don't know what Canva is, oh my Lord, it is literally the tool that lets you look and talk and feel and walk and earn money like a graphic designer. And it's really great. I've actually stopped using Adobe Creative Cloud because I just use Canva. And not to say that you don't need tools like that, but.
So I will say that rap for corporate companies is really hard to pull off in general.
Yeah.
Like we're always going to be laughing at you immediately, right?
Right. I mean, if you can't go ahead, I mean, listen. If you're going to try to do rap for your corporate event, you just need to get a rapper. Like
get a rapper, exactly.
But go ahead and call Snoop. Spend the money and get Snoop or Kendrick Lamar or Dre
or David.
Whoever.
And also, nobody wants to hear you rapping about the company. They just want to hear you rapping like Snoop. We just want to hear your regular songs. We do not want to hear you rapping about Canva and their like integrated application.
Agreed. We're not the audience for that. So there you go. Because I was like, they were talking about stuff that I just don't know.
I mean, kind of though.
Here about. I don't care about enterprise solutions and all that. I mean, when I say we, I mean, let me just say me. I'm not
right.
No, it's for that.
Oh God.
So it seems try hard. Like it gives try hard. Like we're like, you know what the kids like today? They like rap.
They like Hamilton.
Which goes back to who is the audience for this.
Not
the audience is your staff. Is your staff, like, who do you think your workforce is?
Yeah.
If that's your audience. And maybe this, they did clap and cheer at the end. So maybe this did fit them. But then the other question I have is, because this is what I would be asking, is how much money did y'all spend on this? Because these people rehearse. They got a whole song. Somebody wrote this. They got a whole routine they're doing back there. So, like, did y'all use work hours to do this? And if the people did not use work hours to do it, did they get paid for the overtime or whatever the time that they spent pulling this together? Do these people even work here? Are these some folks that y'all pull in from outside and paid to do? Like, basically,
I think only that one woman who came
in this economy. No.
Yeah, hell no.
So I hadn't seen it, but without having seen it, I was reading a bunch of the hoopla about it, Cringe, seeing it's Cringe, and I'm like, yeah, but you're talking about it. The word Canva is in people's mouths everywhere, positive, negative, be that as it may. We all know you're not in the business of rapping. You're in the business of creating a tool that so many fucking people use, me included, and I pay premium because I like it. But that's where I'm like, I wonder, and I just feel like, isn't Guy Kawasaki, like, I think he's like the founder of Canva or whatever, but I just feel like there's savvy enough people in there where they're like, yes, this is going to really make some people cringe. We're going to do it anyway because, and they just decided to take that gamble. And meanwhile, people are still talking about Canva.
That's the interesting thing about marketing. You never know if it was like satire or if it was genuine. Yeah. Like, it's hard. And it actually, that is the good thing where you can be like, oh no, we meant for y'all to laugh at it. When in reality, they walked into the boardroom and they're like, we've got it. This is going to kill everybody. I don't know.
Like a bad episode of some bad show, like something from The Office,
Yeah.
That's how
like Michael Scott would absolutely do this.
Or like when Ross and Monica are dancing together in that one episode of Friends, and you're like, oh my God.
Or like on Girlfriends when Joan is always coming up with some song and the whole act in a costume with her and William on Girlfriends. But you know what? You make a good point because you're right. I did call Juan in to look at this foolishness, and he had no idea about Canva. Now, he still may not have any idea about Canva, but I'm making him aware of this business now because of this video, even if I'm like, I don't want to say mocking the video because I'm not necessarily mocking the video, but I'm criticizing the video. That's a better word because I'm not mocking it, but I do find it cringy. That is a very good word. I'm going to steal from you and say cringy.
And the hard thing is that, like, with Canva, because it's like a graphic designer tool, I don't know. And maybe, like, I feel like maybe it's because of my age. I feel like younger people would use that. But maybe I'm absolutely wrong that it's cringy to use Canva because if you're like a true graphic designer, you're not relying on something like Canva. I think it's a great tool. I've thoroughly enjoyed my use of Canva.
I use
but
it.
That's really tough. Like, who was this targeted to? I'm not quite sure. And also the fact that when we talk about it, like most Gen X and millennials also grew up on rap. And is that more for Gen X millennials as opposed to like Gen Z Alpha?
If I had to take a wild guess at it, just like you mentioned, Tanya, they want people to buy the enterprise version of Canva, like have Canva teams where you have multiple people in your company who are using Canva because you can. At the last company I worked at, we did have like a team of learning development people that were all designers. They all had Adobe Creative Cloud. But we had like for our marketing and for a lot of people who we were responsible for sending out just flyers or, the employee communications and stuff, we were all using Canva and we created our brand in there so we could enforce it. So we were all using the right font. We were using our colors. So I was saying all that, it feels like they were definitely saying, hey, company, you should not be using these other tools. This should be the lone tool you're using for your content generation across your teams. Therefore, invest with us that everybody's using that same tool. And then, Hamilton's been out for a bit, and that I've seen people describe this as a Hamilton-ish, rap. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that that's necessarily like, oh, it's only Hamilton-y. And again, I don't listen to a lot of rap, so I'll save that disclaimer. But I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say this is probably geared toward the people who are going to spend the money. They're going to drop some coin on saying we need a content tool. It's going to be this. We either spend it here, we spend it on Adobe. We're going to pick Canva. Are we going to pick Canva now because you guys did a rap?
So is it one of those situations where it's being targeted to a slightly older crowd who doesn't know anything about like the younger generation. And they're like, heard they liked rap. So like they might want to use this. This seems like right up their alley. I think that might be part of it, which if that's the case, then I guess you killed. Like you got the people you wanted who are like, oh yeah, the youngins would enjoy this. And well, the youngins are like my daughter would always say, this is so fucking cringe. You know, like,
I did just look up. So, because I was curious, this is from Startup Geek. Canva generated more than $1 billion in revenue in the year 2021. So this is old. As of that year, that was 3 years ago, so this could be not relevant anymore. Most of Canva users are 25 to 34.
Yeah.
And it looks like people are Googling.
But do they really think 25 to 30? You're right. Some not 25 to 34-year-olds were like, here's how we're going to reach the 25 to 34-year-olds.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, exactly. There was somebody who was older than that who was like, this is what the kids today like.
Yeah.
And all 25 to 34-year-olds are like, no.
I think, and what's hilarious is that no one in this podcast group is 25 to 34, and we can see that this is not, this ain't that, this ain't here.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's like, get those 3 brain cells working and be like, do I remember? This is the part that kills me. This is something, a hill I will die on, is like forgetting what it felt like to be younger. I do not understand people who, how do you forget what it was like to be like a teenager? How do you forget what you felt like when you were in your early 20s? Like, we all should remember that. But I swear to God, too many people, as they get to each of those like echelons, is like, nope, I've always been 40. I've always been 50. They cannot remember that. It's like when you talk about like, like teenagers having sex, and I'm like, but what age did you start having sex? You were probably a teenager. Or when you're like talking about your kid, and you're like, how? No, hell no. You will not be like, it's the same exact thing where I'm like, I feel like you all forget what it was like to be a kid. And in this situation, when we're talking about pop culture references, you need to know that you would have looked at this, rolling your eyes into the back of your skull as far as it could go. There's I mean, I give credit. I think it's interesting. And like you said, I think it does create a lot of conversation around it. And maybe that was the point. I feel like I'm not going to give enough credit to Canva, and I'm going to assume they thought this was a killer campaign, that there wasn't anything about it that was like, oh, this is kind of satire and we're kind of poking fun at ourselves. I think they thought this was really like the cool thing to do.
So I have more to offer. And I've dropped the link in our notes so we can include it. But when we post the podcast, and this is from 2024, 34% of Canva users are 25 to 34 years old. But then the second largest group is 18 to 24. But it points out the affordability of Canva, because it is. I mean, Ton, you mentioned you use the free version, and you get away with a lot using the free version.
Yeah, the free version is.
I'm
very
betting
cool.
They're going after enterprise level. They're like, we want to get more of that monies. We're going for older people. We know you youngies are going to cringe at us. Are you going to stop using Canva? No, just because we did a silly rap. No, you're going to keep using it because it's affordable and easy to use. But if we are talking enterprise level, older people, Gen X, and things like that, where you've got some money to spend, and this could be our alternative, I bet that's what they're going for. Again, just based on 5 minutes, 15 minutes of talking about it and 2 minutes of Googling, but interesting.
Okay.
All right. Well, Canva, we're all talking about you and your ears are burning.
Oh, wow. How many times have you been hashtagged this week? Probably a lot. So
social team's very busy, I'm sure.
You won.
Yeah. Here's one person who was like, whoop, and then went to the site and was like, oh, I didn't understand this.
And honestly, I will tell you, after all of this conversation, I still will absolutely use Canva.
Same.
So it's not like I'm like, they're too corny to use anymore. I get it. But it's a great application. Even the free version. So good. Very useful. So I will give them their flowers.
All right.
For that.
You get some flowers, Canva, and we'll go design some for you on your tool. All right. Well, we've wrapped up good marketing. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
You say podcasting, I say trust casting. Whether that makes you think of magic spells or fly fishing, trust casting is the way your business can market your brand and get your customers to trust you. Podcasting, event moderation, LinkedIn profiles. These are the ways we build credibility in today's marketing methods. Start trust casting today with But Wait There's More marketing services. Visit butwaitthere'smore.com to cast trust to your target audience today.
All right, and we're back. We're going to wrap up this episode with the We Got segment. I have one, and again, this is talking about marketers who got by some marketing. I have a really simple one, but I'm going to go to y'all first. Do y'all have anything you got by recently?
I do, actually. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you the name of it because I've already forgotten it. But
somebody will know. Somebody will know.
Because, we've been talking about buying clothes and such. And so I get a lot of clothes in like my kind of style who are, I'm guessing, like drop shippers or, like all of these people. I mean, I could probably spend my money and buy it and get the thing, but they're not like brick and mortar-ish kind of things. That said, I have long wanted a denim pantsuit because I don't know. I guess I think I'm like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake in the early. But I wanted it with like a fitted blazer. And anyway, girl, when came down my timeline, I was like, I got to have it. And it turned out it really was a brick and mortar business in a place that I know. So I was like, next time I go to that city, I'll go there and visit and see it live. I ordered this suit. I got it. I put it on and it's looking good. I mean, I got to get some alterations because everything comes, they forget that some of us are not tall and long legged. But I will say that when I say I got the ad, it's like the ad came and I didn't immediately choose. It came, I clicked on it and then I looked at it and I clicked through and I clicked through and then I let it go and then it came up again and I clicked it. They were like, she's gonna, all we need to do is keep bringing this.
They had your ass. Yep.
And so I just went ahead and pulled it. It's so cute though. It's got cute.
All right. So once you get it tailored, we demand pictures in the Slack because I can't believe I haven't seen them
possibly
yet.
on our
I'm very
social
upset
media
about that.
I mean, I literally just got it like 2 days ago and I've usually tried it and I was like, I have to take it to the cleaners and let them, there's a good 5 inches too much material. Ideally, you're supposed to wear it with heels and I would, but even with heels, it's too long.
Wear a little Polly Pocket. That's why I love you.
5 feet tall. I don't know why I cannot get my head around when I see people who are 5 feet tall and I'm like, that person looks short. In my head, I'm medium and not short, but I just need to accept I'm short and let go.
This is when I freaked out Tanya the first time we ever met.
Where you unfolded out of the vehicle.
I don't know why I was like, I'm short. Like she's my height. I don't know. And then you had gams. Like it wasn't just that you were tall. You had gams, girl.
Another awesome.
And I've always wanted like long legs. And I don't know how I looked at my short mother, short grandmothers, and never thought I somehow was going to come out of there with long legs. I always wanted long legs.
I'm very excited about this outfit, so we will have to see it.
What about you? Did you got?
All right, so I got that a couple of times. So the biggest one was Icelandic Provision Skier, which is like the weird version of yogurt. It's called Skier, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was on TikTok, and this woman who had to have been like later Gen Z, like older Gen Z, and her whole thing was she was the social media manager, and she held up the cup of the skier to see if it would fall out, kind of like Dairy Queen back in the day, And she just held it up for like ever and set a timer, and it didn't come out. And I am a whore for a like creamy yogurt type thing. I don't like Siggy. Yeah, exactly. You got me into Siggies, so yeah, I totally agree with that. And I don't like super sugary things either. And so she held this on and it did not budge. And I was like, I
must have
to buy that. And I have since purchased it twice. I got the peach and cloudberry, delicious. I got the lime and the lemon, all very good.
What brand?
What?
What brand?
Icelandic Provisions.
Excellent. Oh, I've had that.
It's so good. It reminds me kind of the Siggies because it's got that kind of same level of like, it's not super sugary.
And
just the fact that the social media manager who looked like a kid, like she looked like she was in her mid-20s, holds up the goddamn package, and I'm like, sold. I'm gonna buy it because that looks delicious. Mm-hmm. So you know what? If she's ever hearing this, she probably will not. But like, you know what? You're a master at your craft, and I'm very impressed by you because
she did her job.
The other thing was the Pharmacy Honey Milk, Pharmacy Pharmacy, which is a skincare brand, which I've used before. But I saw one ad on TikTok for the honey milk, which is like a hydrating kind of serum thing. And I literally went out and bought it that day. And again, I'm unemployed. So why am I doing that? And pharmacy is not cheap. But I immediately went out and bought it that day. And you know what? No regret.
There you go.
And the other thing was, I watched this woman and she was doing like a sponsored TikTok thing. And it was talking about the Maison Perrier. So I don't know if that's different than like Perrier type of thing. But it was Maison Perrier Forever Sparkling. And then they had lime, and then they had Forever Blackberry, and then there's one other flavor. And I got those. And now keep in mind, they're like any other sparkling water I've ever purchased, which I purchase pretty regularly. Like I get Polar or Bubbly or whatever. But I immediately was like, I have to try this. And that one was like, and I didn't do a price comparison, so it might be more expensive or cheaper than what I normally buy. And if that were the case, then I would like kind of change it up because it tasted just like all of the other ones. But again, it was within that week. I was like, I need to go buy that right now. That looks so refreshing.
That's awesome.
But I will say, the Isolated Provision skier was the one that really got me. That was watching somebody doing a social media post where I was immediately like,
that was the right thing to do.
Convinced me.
Yeah.
I need to get it right now. And I absolutely did. And again, I purchased it twice since and no regrets.
Nice. Excellent. And then I haven't gotten out much in the last week because my husband just got knee replacement surgery. And I typically don't do our grocery shopping. So I usually don't go to Costco. But I went to Costco and I went to get a couple of things. And I decided because he and my daughter had got some shorts there. And I don't know if you all are familiar with the Kirkland brand that is through Costco. And if you look up Kirkland, a lot of people are fans of Kirkland and Costco generally. We like it. So I walked through and I got their advertising is nothing. It is like literally a stand with plexiglass and they have like a white piece of paper with probably Times New Roman type. And it just says, here's what this is in large type and here's the price. I still have it because I bought it. It is the Ladies Travel Pant by Kirkland. It is very cute. That is what it looks like. There's a cargo pocket in it. And I got myself a pair. They had black and then they had two other colors, like a kind of aqua blue and then also like a kind of brownish orange. And I'm going to go back and get those other colors. But I like it because they feel like they probably would be moisture wicking. Like you can wear it on a long flight. I could put my phone and my ID and stuff in my pocket and not have to deal with a purse. They're super comfy and I'm wearing them on an 80-degree day and I feel very cool. So got by just a walkthrough of the Kirkland clothing section at Costco.
Did I just get got on my own podcast?
Yes. Are you going to go get them?
Happened? Like, say, I feel like I need to go get them now, and I have not heard of them. But like, I got on my own podcast.
Super awesome, very lovely. I like that they're kind of capri or like kind of cut off like
a little
cropped. Yeah,
those are super goddamn. Like, I can't get away from any.
The yogurt
of it.
sounds really
I'm just
good
like,
too.
I'm gonna spend my money in every spot in the world.
I think I need that yogurt you described for my nutrition. I need some.
The lime is really good.
The lime is really good. The peach and who the fuck knows what a cloudberry is? But the cloudberry, peach and cloudberry, very tasty.
I'll try it.
And just the fact that you call it cloudberry, it could be nothing. Like they could have made that term up, and I was like, cloudberry.
So true. Well, we got, and anyone who's listening to this, you could get got too by these same things that got us got. And so marketing works, obviously. To what degrees, we all will find out. Our monies tell the story. But that's all the time we have for today. But on our way out, Elizabeth, where can people find and follow you online?
All right. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I can't remember my LinkedIn address right now. Hold on a second.
She's editing this, so she's just going to take that right out.
Maybe I won't. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Elizabeth Allen 1001.
Very good, very good. Tanya, where can people find and follow you online?
TBBTDOUBLEB on pretty much every platform. I try to claim it whenever I can.
Claim it. Excellent. And y'all can find and follow me at Rachel Has the Mic, MIC, anywhere and everywhere. Also, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Just Trust Me Podcast, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. If you like this podcast, subscribe so you don't miss the episode. If you really liked it, please leave us a review because that's good marketing anyway. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Just Trust Me.